Last time, on BrianTheBlue Game Reviews, I reviewed Pilotwings 64, didn't like it too much, then I tried Excitebike 64. I like that much better. Looks like I'm gonna make it 3 in a row for 64 games. Where is this all leading to? Your guess is as good as mine.
Where's my money, bitch? Paperboy for the Nintendo 64.
Warning, such behavior is irresponsible, immature, and very foolish. We recommend you try it at home.
It's the late 90s, the 21st century was just around the corner, and the 5th generation was approaching middle age. The original PlayStation was comfortably leading its competition due to its stellar library of titles and being the easiest to develop for thanks to its disc-based format. Nintendo 64 was doing a little better than Sega Saturn, but other than having some fantastic first and second party games from time to time, many gamers had trouble buying into the system, even if it had some interesting titles on it. So many missed out on discovering games like Winback, Hybrid Heaven, or the first Smash Bros. There were plenty of software to be found on the N64 by the turn of the century, including some weird titles you wouldn't expect to make an appearance on the system. And I would put Paperboy under that category.
This game was released on October 26, 1999, to a very mixed response from the few critics that played it. Now, out of the 364 games I've looked at thus far, this one I know the least about. You can't find much info besides gameplay and little notes online, so I think it's fair to say this game wasn't as popular as its predecessors. I mean, how can you screw that up? I guess whoever made this found a way, and I'm a big fan of the original arcade, so guess we'll have to just jump straight into the Boy Made of Paper's debut in 3D and take a better look at Paperboy.
Thank God Atari only licensed the Paperboy name, and I would have been shocked if Midway bungled this up, but they only acted as publisher. So if we have anyone to blame, we can point the finger at High Voltage Software. They've had experience with Atari in the past, developing a who's who of games for the ill-fated Jaguar, and now they're making their first game on the N64, and this is what they had to show for it.
Can't go wrong with the classic tune.
Graphics don't look terribly bad, they just look like the console.
Square!
Starting a new game, taking the middle road, and I think I'll keep playing safe and try out training, which I think they considered this an afterthought.
Nice to have, but you're pretty much left to your own devices to discover how things work. Text prompts don't come in at the best of times either.
How do you expect me to deliver a paper in the desert?
Parkour! Parkour! Parkour!
That's as good as it's gonna get, so let's try our luck in Alphaville. You know the news is fake when you make the front page.
Doubt any of y'all know how to play, let alone know the profession, but back in my day, you had a route with customers to deliver the newspapers, and that's what you replicate in this here game. Within the time limit, you must deliver the news to your customers while avoiding the plethora of obstacles that inhabit the neighborhood, which can range from the homeowners themselves, their housebroken house pets, their vehicles, and everything else in between. You're not left completely defenseless, as you have your newspapers as the best substitute for a helmet or other safety equipment, and you can pick up more on the sidewalks. Hitting things directly will earn you some amount of points, but the big points come from delivering the newspapers to the door or landing it right in the mailbox. And when you deliver to all of your customers, you'll win the round.
Oh yeah!
So this is what Pinocchio did after the movie.
I swear to God, the kid looks soulless. Why did they give him the darkest eyes and smiles? He looks like he should be on strings.
Depending on how well you did, you may or may not get new subscribers on your paper route. As far as I know, nobody canceled in my playtime, even if I fucked up their windows.
Here's your evening paper. Thanks.
You might also unlock new neighborhoods while you're at it, but I decided to finish up in Alphaville as there's a few additional things you can do. Like I said already, you can get more subscribers in the neighborhood, going as far as maximizing them out, and there's also special coins to find and collect as they'll unlock a special bonus stage. Fans of the original game will recognize the obstacle course.
I sure do. I remember launching myself into the stands one time. That was funny.
Now I'll move on to the next place, which is Alice's RV Haven. Sounds maybe a little too adult for a kid to go to, but what the hell, gotta make a living. And as I continue to play through this game, getting more subscribers and unlocking new neighborhoods, I'm starting to come to the conclusion that
This game is boring. I'm serious. It's hard to believe, but it is.
that isn't to say it's completely a snooze fest, but after a while it certainly does get repetitive. The changing of scenery is appreciated, having all these different locations keeps it a little fresh and is more than what the games that preceded it could do. We have the trailer park, a forested community, beach houses on the docks, and the neighborhood where it's always Halloween.
I think my cousin lives there.
Halloween, 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 Halloween. Ow!
And while that's good and all, it's at least a more noticeable difference than in the previous games, it doesn't really matter when the gameplay doesn't change much in the long run. You just start your new route, do it, get more customers, rinse and repeat until new places unlock, and you continue the process until...
I mean, it's so similar to its predecessors, just in 3D, that it's hard to talk about anything else. I've explained pretty much all that there is to know about the basic game. There is one major difference that I'll highlight in a second, but let me point out some other observations before we tackle that.
After playing it for a while, I went from not really getting the controls to being able to nail it in the mailboxes like it's nobody's business. It helps when you hold the throw button that an arrow can assist with your aim. It took a bit to figure that out, resulting in some, we'll just say, weirder than normal things happening.
Ooh, I just nailed Grandma on the face!
But one of my downfalls was I could only throw to the right.
I don't know if that's a default or not. It could be L, but when you're holding the controller like this, you're fresh out of options.
Might have also made the beach level harder than it had to be as I got more customers. I don't know why, but I had to end up rushing my ass to complete the dock section, which kinda led me to doing some stupid shit like this. Or this.
I got my paper wet. How am I supposed to deliver these to my customers? Oh well, I'm not paid enough for this anyway.
I think that was the only time I had to restart a level, and on my second run I barely got through thanks to my superb paper throwing skills. Delivering papers will nab you additional time, and you do have a health bar as well. Once one of those depletes, you'll have to try again, and the other method of restarting almost came true when I went into the haunted neighborhood.
But I think what annoys me more is all the muffled sound, especially if some bitch is screaming.
Whatever, I got through that without too many issues to face the big change for the Paperboy, having to face a boss.
That sounds interesting. Most games will try to incorporate them in nowadays, but I would argue this game didn't benefit from it. Not in the slightest.
I also have no idea what the plot is, if there even is one, so I have no idea why I'm facing Elon Musk's latest creation, the Tesla Stein.
The big brain scientist's name is Dr. Tesla. I'm really reaching, I know, but it's better lore than whatever the fuck this is.
We're warned ahead of time that Tesla Stein won't be affected by our papers, so we have to find another way to defeat it. I figured the best place to start was to take out the doctor, then I found out these Tesla coils take damage, but there are so many flaws after it that I failed to find a reason to continue after. First things first, these controls are not meant for boss fights. It's so hard to fucking aim for these targets that you have to hit a plethora of times in order to weaken the monster that, by the way, you have to keep your distance from, so keeping healthy is key, as well as doing all of this while a timer is going. Not to mention, the doctor doesn't stay down, he even repairs his coils, making things so much worse, and I have no idea if hitting his hunchback is doing anything, and...
For fuck's sake! I looked it up real quick and saw what I was doing was right, but whoever did it must have had more patience than me, because my god is rolling in shit right now, because that's what I'm experiencing. Alright, fuck it, I'm done with this. I'm just as frustrated as him throwing his bike.
If it's this frustrating to get through a new concept a game is trying to introduce, there's no reason to play the rest of the game. Not like it was getting any better in the base game. I was getting bored as it is, even when I went to all these different neighborhoods. The routes changed, but the gameplay remained the same for way too long.
There's a reason why this occupation died anyway. Probably for the better, as people are more likely to shoot you nowadays if they hear the slightest noise at the door. I know that was him. I wouldn't do that to just anybody.
Here's a first for this segment. I can't honestly tell you who composed the music for this game, as that wasn't made clear. Though I guess the closest thing may be the sound engineers, but I wouldn't blame anybody not wanting to be credited for these tunes. 'Cause they're terrible. It's bad enough that they're compressed to shit, but none of the tunes I came across were catchy by any stretch, or even enjoyable to hear. They were just there. It sounds to me like they just led with their most recognizable tune and didn't know how to top it, let alone attempt to top it.
Then again, it's hard to top perfection. Eat it, paper! I'm not the one on a diet.
As much as I want to throw this out like it was yesterday's news, there's a couple things I have to show because that's what I have this bit for. You have some basic stuff like loading games from different packs, looking at detailed high scores from every section or overall.
Keeping with its arcade roots, why isn't the original game hidden away somewhere where we can access it? Then this game could move up a play rating. But I think Atari was wise to not taint their franchise more. Options has your standard affair with adjusting of the volume and controls, but it's also the place where you can enter secret codes. I only need to know one, and that's the code that unlocks everything. And that code is... motherfucker.
After entering it, I'm able to access all the other neighborhoods and bosses I was content with not reaching, and I thought it would be funny to see what the final boss was.
And what's the biggest step from monsters? Aliens, of course.
An obvious cop-out when you have no ideas left, but I can't say I'm surprised by two things. One, that it's the case with this game, and two, there's no clear way to defeat it. But I did discover one very important thing.
Oh, you can throw left? How did I do that? Oh, with Z! Jesus! Should I feel this stupid when I barely played this console? Or do I get a pass because this game sucks as much as a paper cut? Let's just go to the last segment so we can end this shit.
As I said before, Paperboy on the N64 didn't get plenty of coverage in its day, but the few that gave it the time of day didn't look upon it favorably. Mostly. Modern reviews look at it the same way, and I don't think that'll change anytime soon. We'll find out in a bit. High Voltage Software didn't suffer much from this shit show. They would quickly bounce back with LEGO Racers and continue to make games to this day. While Midway? Well, I think we all know what happened there. Paperboy is still fondly remembered, at least in its original form. There are plenty of versions you can play on multiple systems. There's even a sequel to look for. Heck, there's a couple of other modern reimaginings that probably fared a little better than it did when it was in 64 bits.
So, what is my rate to play? You see the kid's face on the cover? Little did we know that's how we would feel after playing this game. We come into it thinking we're gonna have some sort of good time playing a third-dimensional rendition of an arcade classic, but we were just left confused, frustrated, and frightened that we have to pedal out of here as fast as we can.
I didn't know what to expect. Being a fan of the original game, I at least expected it to be a for-its-time rendition of an arcade classic. But I didn't expect it to be so misguided. I don't normally bring up graphics, but even with its cartoony visuals, it looks worse than other examples. Controls are a bit stiff, but you can learn them in time, hopefully faster than me. Everything is muffled and compressed, even its one good song, and although the layout changes, I personally got bored after a while, and the introduction of boss levels I feel did the most damage to this game than anything else.
I just wanted to end it the most satisfying way possible, but the game wouldn't allow me.
Not every game has to follow a modern trend, but you can only do so much with Paperboy 2. But this is probably the very worst in his career, and I would not recommend anyone getting it for yourself or your kids if you have them, if they were the target audience. I would hope you love them more than putting them through this. Take them to the arcade where the better game is at. That's also where I'm at now to bring this to a close.
To conclude, I give the 64 version a play rate of... don't play. If you thought I was leading somewhere with this, I don't even know either. How else am I gonna hook viewers in on crap like that?
But that's only my opinion. If you have your own thoughts, leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others would enjoy this, share it around the web. And if you want to see more, subscribe. Anyway, this has been BrianTheBlue Game Reviews, Paperboy, for the Nintendo 64. I have to say it this time because contrary to what I thought, 64 isn't on the box. But Paperboy 64 can still work the same. Brian here, want to quickly say thanks for watching this game review, as this and other content wouldn't be possible without you. I appreciate anyone and everyone who watches my videos from all across the world, but it alarms me that over 80% of viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. So I'd like to reiterate and ask you to subscribe as well as ringing the bell to stay notified. That way you can stay up to date with future content that'll appear on the Jacobians channel. Presently I put out new quick views and current calamities every month, and my brother Alex has a brand new show all about wrestling games called WrestleBound. You might want to stick around as we're only getting started. You can also find me on a couple of other channels. I run the Starfighters Arcade channel, where we take a look at the history of our machines on the floor as well as show you our new arrivals, and on Millennial X, where me, arcade buddies, and family get into shenanigans playing, hunting, and reviewing games. If you want to explore more content, these would be the first places to go. That's all the time I got, but be sure to click the icon now if you want to watch the previous or upcoming episodes of Game Reviews.